Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I am Imesh, your host for this evening. So, we welcome you to the Serial Tech Talk Technopreneurship Forum. And this is organized by the final year students of the Department of Entrepreneurship, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce at University of Jayawardenapura. And technology is one of the most dynamic components, one of the dynamic fields that is improving in this world. And today, entrepreneurship has been a factor for entrepreneurs to use technology as an important tool to improve their production, to lead their innovations into sustainability. And what we focus from this Technopreneurship Forum is to encourage entrepreneurs to give a focus to these technological aspects and to improve the potential of technopreneurs to emerge. So today we have two important speakers with us. First of all, let me welcome the founder and CEO of Fidsky Private Limited, and also the co-founder of both Lipstick Technologies Private Limited and a partner Private Limited, Mr. Shehan Adikari. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Hi, Mesh. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Hope you're doing fine and safe and sound.
Yes, and thanks for having me. I'm looking forward for the session for sure, Mesh.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. And also, sir, please tag along with us. Next up, we have Mr. Thisara Jayasinghe, well known as the growth guy, and also the founder and CEO of Boost Asia Performance Marketing Agency, which is one of the most dynamic digital marketing agencies available in Sri Lanka and also recognized internationally. So, Thisara, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm audible, right?
Yes, you are. Thisara.
And please do let me know, like, if there is a noise that's around me. I'm really sorry. I can't help it that it's there.
Yes, that's all fine. That's all fine, Thisara. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, technology has become a major part of our day-to-day lives. It is not any different in the world of business or even our normal lives. The need of incorporating technology into innovative product developments has arisen today than is used to be back in the days. And the speakers here with us today have made use of technology to have incorporated it to bring us an innovative product. And we for sure will talk about these products in detail when it comes to their entrepreneurial journey. So let me start this forum with a question to Mr. Thisara. Thisara, so what sort of a mindset should a person should develop to become an entrepreneur, especially in this moving field of technology?
So yeah, I remember like when we first had this conversation, when you guys like first gave me this whole like the topic that you guys are like going to talk about. We had a sort of argument about the whole like difference between the mindset that people should have, difference between the techno entrepreneur and a normal entrepreneur, the ordinary entrepreneur. So I personally believe that when it comes to an entrepreneur or techno entrepreneur, the mindset should be the same, because it's just when it comes to techno entrepreneurs, it's just the technology that's like surrounding them. And what could have been different from the other entrepreneurs, the people like who engage with the technology. Let's say that like there are other people like who does more like the heritage stuff, in the sense, or could say people who are like very much into like export section, and they have that like entrepreneurship vibe, and they also have that like the, I could say, mindset. The key thing that every single person should have is the consistency. Consistency, as in, I would say, I gave you this like small specific example. when we had that small talk. So when it comes to the people who start businesses as a as a ratio, most of the people who start their businesses in their 20s, they give it up. They give it up in the sense like they do like crazy amazing things. Their innovation is like very much good, and it doesn't matter how good their business is, how good their like idea is, and how much they are willing to like put into building that business. People give up. People give up. So as a ratio, when it comes to the people who start businesses in their early 20s, if I take like average in the sense like most of the people, average wise, it's around like I think around point something only get succeeded, and people believe that it's with the luck. So people who I could say like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, or maybe Bill Gates, they are the ones who pulled it off properly. People who started their businesses in early 30s or late 30s, these people, like as a ratio, as an average, these people, their success rate is around 30% or something. So I'm not going with the specific number because I can't remember the specific number. But the key difference that we have there is people who start their businesses in 30s, they have the experience and they have the so-called like the knowledge about like how should they work on work in a corporate sector. They got their life stable and they started working on that amazing startup in their 30s. They decided, they gave everything up in order to build their dream. As an example, I can easily like mention Ashok Patiraj in Sri Lanka. I think he started his business Softlogic Holdings around when he was around 34 or something. The problem with people who are in their 20s, most of the people get excited with the fact that like I'm going to be a dropout. Because I'm telling you this because I once thought that like it's a huge thing, because I have been watching all those like documentaries about Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or people like that, and I thought that it's like it sounds cool. I literally thought that it sounds cool. I gave up on my studies and started working on the business. Luckily, I managed to pull it off in order to come to a status where I could say I'm financially stable. But for the most of the people, when they hit 25, they have amazing ideas. They do crazy stuff, and their products are amazing. But when they hit 25 or 26, they get the family pressure here in Sri Lanka, or they seek out for the stability in their life, and they realize, okay, this is enough. This is what I wanted to do, and I came so far. But it doesn't mean that I never dreamt of like being at this kind of a place when I'm 25. They give up, they go back to their ordinary self. So the consistency is, you wouldn't nail it when you're 25. And if you believe in something, you have to make sure that the stability that you think that your parents has been like telling you, that stability is like different. Stability does, I am repeating this again. Stability doesn't come with getting married to a beautiful person. Stability doesn't come with having just one income source. Stability doesn't come with, I could say, being satisfied with your personal, like the personal goals. That includes your like filling up your purse also. Stability is how much you are going to justify your daily routine from the morning that you wake up to the night that you're going back to the street. If you justify your personal routine without feeling guilt, that is stability. And if you could justify your daily routine, I think that is the consistency. You get from morning to, like, let's say that, like, from early morning accomplishing this whole making your bed up. From there to, if you could justify the whole damn routine without feeling guilty that I skip this, I pass this for tomorrow, that's consistency that we are talking about. So I think it cleared out the question that you asked. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Thisara. And stability is, as you said, very important. And my next question is for Mr. Shehan. So as a entrepreneur, or I would say as a technopreneur who developed an industry changing, more like one would say an industry supporting application or an innovation, in comparison to that, in your point of view, sir, how successful can be a tech innovation be compared to an innovation that does not involve technology?
Well, I think, Imesh, that's a very tricky question. I think the use of technology depends on the problem you're trying to solve. I think it's very important that you understand that you're trying to solve. Business is a problem solving thing, right? Every business solves some problem. Now, if that problem can be solved by using technology, and if that can be scaled up faster, then I think, yes, you should use technology for that purpose. So I think when I had the discussion with you yesterday, also I was telling you, it's not about thinking that, look, I want to be a tech entrepreneur and therefore I'll do something. It's about identifying a problem in the market, whether it's locally, whether it's globally, and building a solution for that. That's what's important. I think it's very important. The guys who are actually thinking of starting a new business understands the purpose. So the purpose is solving a problem. And can that problem solved through? Can that problem be solved better through technology? Then yes, then go for it. But remember, the moment you bring in technology, that increases your other elements as well, like the cost. When you go into, a lot of people misunderstand the fact that, especially in a smaller market like Sri Lanka, the technology startups will struggle a lot to make money because our markets are very small. So you have to, I think, like Thisara really explained, it's important that you understand that this is going to be a long journey, especially if you're going into technology, because the upfront investment is going to be very high, your development cost is going to be very high, the scale is not there in the country. So you've got to sort of then make up your mindset that, okay, I'm okay to stay for at least 5-6 years to get my returns. So it's a mix of all these things. So I think before you go to anything, just think that what's the problem I'm going to solve? Would technology help better for me to solve this problem? Then yes, that makes sense.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And when it comes to all of this, all of the innovations, all of the innovations, marketing is key. Marketing is a very crucial thing because it is the only revenue generating function of a company. So my next question is for Thisara. Thisara, as a CEO of a creative marketing agency, what aspects of marketing are actually driven by technology the most? I mean, accordingly, how has technology helped you to diversify your service portfolio when it comes to the industry of marketing? Because digital marketing is a trend now and we all speak about it. So what's your idea, Thisara?
So it's I believe that, like, for the digital marketing agencies, there are 4 pillars. So it's the PPC, email marketing, social media, and paid promotion. So that is one thing. And the second, that is for the digital marketing agencies in technology wise. But as a company, as a digital driven company, I believe that the main three pillars that people have to be worried about is that accessibility, availability, and the transparency. So if I'm talking, I'll descriptively go for each topic. Accessibility is how easy people want to get access to their service provider. So let's say back in the days, we didn't have much of that digital marketing. We didn't have like that much of digital media channel, and even if we did, we didn't have the digital literacy in Sri Lanka, and even for the other countries. So what we had was, we had the banner advertisement, and we had TV advertisement, and also we had tape advertisement and things like that. Let's say as the end user, I would see a banner advertisement. At that specific point, I wouldn't have that specific need to purchase that thing that was displayed by the advertisement. Maybe I saw a TV advertisement. Ultimately, what they can do is they can create that awareness that we want. So the moment that we want to have a similar product, we go back to the time, okay, I saw this advertisement and this is a product that I am going to buy. The brand visibility created by, so I could say DHL. People don't talk about the like courier, they talk about like, let's DHL. So there are times that I went and like asked for the like signal toothbrush, or the get me a signal instead of go asking for the toothpaste. So things like that. The brand availability, accessibility. Sorry, not the accessibility. So that is what they created back in the days. But today, let's say that almost every single person in Colombo, it's just around like 2.5 million people, 2 million people. They are available in social media platforms. They are available in digital channels, other channels as in like Google, and they also, when it comes to YouTube, there's a huge like amount of people who are considered to be active users. These people see advertisement every single day. The moment they see advertisement, they can click on the advertisement and get right to the site and make a purchase the moment itself. So even for the products like clothing items, or even online gambling, things like the product that has a very less conversion window can be easily sold through digital media channels. Even for the product that has a huge conversion window, let's say it can be real estate, it can be banking facilities, it can be vehicles, I could say the very pricey stuff. For these also, we can create leads or maybe inquiry forums where we can like collect data. So in this whole accessibility topic that I'm talking about, people don't have to specifically like the end user doesn't have to like keep like remembering what was the thing that I saw on that advertisement. They can like easily fill out a form when they have like free time, and later on the company itself can follow it up. The accessibility is a very key thing that technology like did for this world, and it's amazing. Second thing is availability. So this is a very like fancy example that I want to like take, because I'm like very much proud about like coming up with this whole scenario. Back in the days when I was small, my parents used to go to House of Fashion to make purchase like once or twice a year. They went to House of Fashion to get like their like clothing stuff sorted. The moment that we went there, they didn't know what exactly is going to be there. They have no freaking idea. They just go there, they select the product. Today, what really happens in digital area is like, it's a perfect analogy. They get into the House of Fashion. The reception is there. Let's say Google, the reception is Google. And you tell to the reception, I want floral dresses. You get into the House of Fashion, you say, I want floral dresses. The moment you say that, imagine everything, every single rack around you change into floral dresses. You no longer see toys. If you are 50 years old, you no longer see toys. You no longer see men's shoes. If you are a woman that has like no interest in like buying men's shoes, you can, before you visit to the shop, you have a clear idea about what's going to be available in the shop. The availability, inventory, maintaining. And the third thing is the transparency. This is also an example from my childhood. Back in the days, buttons used to be there was a shoe brand called Buttons, and Buttons used to be one of the key players in shoe industry back in the days. They had an advertisement with Vijay and the city. The first time that I saw that advertisement, I fell in love with the brand, and Buttons shoe were like so freaking amazing that I cried in front of my parents saying that I only want Buttons, I don't want that, but I don't want DSI. That was a huge thing back in the days. They spent quite a lot of money to make sure that their brand is everywhere. I think back in the days, they spent around at least 1 million. This is 2006 that I'm talking about. So later on, they stopped advertising. Maybe some financial thing, or they stopped advertising. I don't think that any of you guys can name where Buttons is today. Today, Buttons is there as a like small shop in Maradana, and I think what happened there was that they couldn't afford the this is what I think. I think they couldn't afford the market pricing and everything. So you know that for the ATL, BTL, the paper advertisement, it cost a huge amount of money. For the paper advertisement, it cost around full paper advertisement, it cost around 106,000 or 108,000 rupees. But even for the TV advertisement, it cost around for a proper TV advertisement, it cost around 500,000. Let's say you would say, I don't have 500,000 for a 30 seconds advertisement. I have 100,000. So give me 6-second advertisement. You can't negotiate like that. On if you go to TV channel and if you say give me 6-second advertisement, I only have 100,000. They wouldn't negotiate like that. But when it comes to digital marketing channels, you get that specific, I would say that luxury to customize whatever the advertisement that you want to go out in a very affordable package. Like you can say you only have $10, still can do something. You only have $1, you can do something. You have $100, you can do massive things. And the other thing is, every single person that your ad get directed to, you can track them. You can track it not in the specific name or the category or the person's age group, or they don't say that this is the okay, Thisara Jayasinghe received this advertisement. They don't do it like that. I think with their behavior and to acquire one lead, to acquire one conversation or something things like that, for things like that, you can get a proper breakdown. But back in the days, you just put an advertisement out on TV, maybe radio, maybe paper advertisement. It just goes to the mass market, and you don't know how many conversions that you could make out of that specific advertisement. You spend 500,000. You don't know how many people that you acquired by that 500,000. You don't know cost per lead. You have no idea. So I think the best thing that I adore, the luxury of this whole digital marketing industry, the platforms, channels, mediums, is that we get to have the accessibility, we get to have the transparency, and we get to have the availability.
That Thank you, Thisara, and that was very informative. And the examples were also very realistic. I mean, personally, even I have experienced the example of such as House of Fashions, and yes, buttons used to be my favorite brand as well. So, thank you, Thisara, for that informative information. My next question goes to Shehan sir. Uh, Shehan sir, so funding is very crucial. And as an entrepreneur, we always speak about the startup capital, the requirement of startup capital, and many base the success of their business based on the amount of investment. When it comes to the field of technology, we basically something that we all that basically understand is the fact that technology is expensive, technological items are expensive, and technology requires a lot of investments. So what sources of funding are most suitable and helpful for the starting up and running of a tech firm?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid question, Dimesh, because I think now, if it depends on the stage in life you're at. If you're a young kid, let's say 22, 23, and you have no capital whatsoever for you to dump, especially if you're going into a technology product, if it's an app or a website, or if it's going to be AI, robotics, machine learning related, those are very expensive affairs. At least you will need about good 4 or 5 million to start off with, to develop the apps, to develop the marketing content. The digital agencies are very expensive, right? So, social media is pretty expensive as well, when it comes to a startup, stage. So it's, and also the problem is the fact that if you're going into tech, like I always said, very unlikely that you will make money at the very beginning. Only very few startups or very few tech companies rather in Sri Lanka are making cash profits. It's no different to the global arena. If you look at the guys like Uber or to Airbnbs, to all these big tech startups, they don't make money. But what they do is they expand, they scale, and they build value. So every day, when they add more people to the app, every day they create more brand awareness, they're creating more value to the brand. And one fine day, the co-founders or the owners will sell off or dilute some shares and get a capital gain, and that's going to be their wealth. Until such time, it's all in your books, right? You might not have cash in hand. So it's very important to understand what stage of your career, what stage of your life you're at. Do you have, it's like sometimes people are thinking twice about getting an investor because you had to dilute. I mean, I myself did this mistake as well, at the initial outset, because then you think, okay, you can self fund this for some time because you're stingy sometimes, right? Okay, it's my idea. Why do I have to give it to someone else? It's just capital they're bringing in, but I'm the one who's executing it. So I mean, that's a fair feeling to have. But I think what's most important is that can you fuel the growth of the company? Can you sustain the company with the capital you have? Sometimes you rather own a 10% of $1 billion company rather than owning 100% of $1 million company. I mean, that's the statement. So I think it's important that you understand, you do a cash flow statement sort of a thing, all you guys must be gurus in management. So you can, sort of manage your finance and see, okay, how much of money do I need? And if you feel that, look, it's going to be a burn, and that estimate has to be very pessimistic estimate, because more often than not, you're very proud about your idea and you just always think that you will make money. Right? Even when your friends or family will say, hey, it's a stupid idea, you'll always think, no, I'm going to make this happen. And this is how much of money I'll make. So the moment that optimism comes, you're reluctant to go for funding. So this is the psychology of many people. So I myself, I was able to survive because I started my entrepreneurial journey a little mid-career. I was working at Brandic. So I had about 5-6 years into my corporate job, and then I left. Right. So I was almost hitting, I would say 29, 30 when I left. So that's the point I left. So at that point, yes, I did have some capital, I could survive. But if you're starting at a 23, 24, obviously you're not going to have that luxury of having a substantial capital. So what's important is then you look at your cash flows and see how much of capital you require to run the business. That's quite critical. So yeah, so then I think the next option is for you to understand what sort of an investor you have to go for, right? There are multiple investors, and the whole investor forum in this country is also pretty, different, right? So, when you want to go and raise massive money, people are reluctant. The whole startup culture in this country is that because the scale is small, not many startups have gone on to give returns, massive returns to the investors as well. So you have the venture capitalists, you have the institutional investors, but not many have made good money by investing into startups in Sri Lanka. I'm especially talking about the tech startups. So if you look at guys like PickMe, I mean, very few companies like PickMe would have, made exponential returns to the investors. But we can talk about hundreds or other startups which would have failed and which would have burnt the cash of investors as well. So because of that, the investor confidence in startups in Sri Lanka has also come down, and which is a problem, which will not really, which is going to hamper the growth of this Sri Lankan startup culture for sure. So keep in mind that investors will always think twice when they put in a rupee into your company. So it's important that you sort of ask money with some tranches, right? You say, okay, you give me 10 million bucks. This is what I'll do. And these are the KPIs I will hit, which will prove the fact that, look, when you give me the next 10 million, I will, make more money for you, right? It's very important. You're not living in the US where, they will value your idea for $10 million and give you, $500,000 with 5% stake, which happened with Facebook when Mark Zuckerberg raised that capital. It's not going to happen in Sri Lanka. No one's going to take 5% and give you $500,000 because your idea is amazing, right? Because the ability to scale in this country is very, very low, right? So it's important that you speak to the right investor. I would say it's important that you give confidence to the investor that, okay, give me little money at the beginning. I'll do this. I'll put the KPIs right. I'll show you results, and then keep building momentum into the organization as well. So that's very, very critical, guys, because without money you can't progress. Without having the right amount of cash, you will just burn. And what you will end up doing is you will do 100 of other things to make money. So you have your tech company sort of on a standstill, and then you will do a little bit of this and that, and a little bit of trading, little bit of consulting, little bit of tuition, little bit of whatever that come across, just to make that little buck, because you got to live as well, right? So that's, and then you will have your peer pressure. It doesn't matter at what age you are. I mean, you're a 25, 26-year-old, you have your family pressure, like Thisara explained, right? I mean, that's that. If you're a 30, 33-year-old, you have too much of commitments, you have taken loans and stuff like that. So the problem gets harder as you grow older. So at whatever the stage you are, you're gonna get into trouble with finances. And then what will happen is you will realize that, look, you don't put enough time to your core business because you're running after other ventures or other little non-tech kind of thing to make money for yourself. And finally, you perceive, or you treat that your core business as a loss making, right? This is why in Sri Lanka, right, we don't see many startups going, to a massive scale. Right? I think the only best example we have is PickMe. Apart from that, no one has really capitalized it. So it's very important, guys, you understand the scalability. And also when you think of an idea, think in a way that you can scale this globally as well, right? Because I think these local investors are quite tired of startups which cannot be scaled up, right? Even if you look at a company like PickMe, their growth is stagnant in Sri Lanka. I mean, I don't think they can go anywhere else apart from Sri Lanka, right? Because every other country has its own ride-hailing app, right? So, at one point you tend to think, okay, if I'm an investor, I wouldn't invest into PickMe at this moment. I would have invested obviously 7-8 years back, but not at this moment. So your growth comes to a standstill. So always remember, when someone invests, right, he will expect a return, which means someone else has to come and buy your shares or invest at a higher valuation. So valuation has to keep growing, right? So how do you show that scale up, right? If Colombo is going to saturate, how do you show that scale up is very, very critical, guys? Because if you can't show a scale up, at least into India, I think we are blessed to be little under India, and India is an amazing market to tap in. So if you can, I mean, not many people think that India is untappable, but I mean, there are guys like Damro, there are people like Jacqueline who have actually conquered the Indian market. So, you have to think scalability, right? Otherwise, you will really find it difficult to keep funding your business. Otherwise, what will happen is, guys, you raise money, you bust it into marketing, no profits. Again, raise money, bust into marketing, no profits. 2-3 rounds, you're done. No one's going to put money to you. Because they'll ask what happened to the money you took first couple of times, right? So it's very, very important. I see a lot of people doing small e-commerce businesses, etc. Especially talking about tech businesses, guys, right? Little e-commerce businesses, little, stuff like that, which is, sometimes very hard to scale up because there are thousands of e-commerce businesses in Sri Lanka, right? How are you going to even compete with the big boys, right? So that's why when you think of a tech startup or becoming a technopreneur or whatever you call it, that complex word, you have to always tell yourself that I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something which can be scaled, right? I mean, that is the only thing the investor would think, right? Can this scale up to X number of countries, X number of regions, X number of users? Because if you scale up, there'll be people willing to fund you. That's very important to understand. And also, guys, one more thing I think is to get feedback. One mistake I always did was, you tend, because you're so close to your idea, you think this is the best idea in the world, and then you pursue it, which is very important. But you also have to do your market research as well, and talk to people and understand, would you use this? Would you use this, right? And if you talk to 100 people and 95 says no, then you have a scalability issue, right? So it's very important that you sort of understand that as well. Having said that, very important, you need to live first, right? If you're a tech entrepreneur, you won't be able to have a lavish life. You're not going to drive your BMs or the Mercedes by doing a tech startup. I mean, you can do plenty of businesses. You can export some, you can produce some coconut oil and make crazy money these days, right? So there are market opportunities. I mean, there were people who sold masks and made millions. But you do an app, you're stuck, right? I mean, no one's gonna download it. You'll have to convince hundreds of people to download it. You'll spend millions with digital marketing, with other advertising, whatever it is, right? And you'll still wait thinking, okay, no one's downloading the app, right? So it's going to be a very tough journey. So it's very important that you first of all understand that tech startups is not as rosy as you think it is, right? It's going to be a tough journey, but the day it pays off, you'll have good few $1 million hitting your bank account, and then you're sorted for life, right? But then until that point, it's going to be a tough journey, guys. So plan your financials, look for an investor. And also one more thing, some people do this mistake of looking for an investor at an idea level. That's pretty tough, right? Because no one's going to listen to the idea and dump 20-30 million rupees. So you have to always understand what is this whole concept of minimum viable product. I can't define it exactly, but what's that MVP? Okay, I do this with a very minimal investment of mine. I'll ask some friends for some cash, whatever it is, put $1 million or $2 million, whatever the number is, and I'll prove that this, okay, in a slight way, at least 10 people are using this, right? Now you have to come to that stage to at least convince a bunch of investors. Okay, I'm bothered. I've put my money for this idea. I've risked my cash for this idea. Now I'm asking you to risk your cash with my idea, right? If you can't prove that, then you're not going to get any rupee from any investor. And one last point: if you're raising capital in Sri Lanka, be ready to dilute heavily, because of the risk factor in the startup community in Sri Lanka, and all the reasons I told you about, the returns are pretty less. So you can't, watch a business valuation story in the US where they raise 5%, 7% in the first round and go and tell the investor, I did a mistake. I've gone and told investors, look, I'll give you only 5% or 10%. They laugh at me. Right now, I've made up my mind that I had to give at least 30, 40% if I had to kick things off. It hurts, but then you can't find an investor in Sri Lanka who will put that much of money for a very small equity. So change that mindset, because those are the mistakes I've done. I am just sharing with you all as well. Change that mindset that, okay, be ready to dilute a massive equity, be ready to get crazy pressure from the investor, but be ready to show results, gain confidence. Then you can probably go to that journey.
Thank you very much, Shehan. And I really believe that this information was more of an advice for all entrepreneurs out there who are looking to invest in, who are looking to search for investors and do a successful innovation, regardless of whether it's a technological innovation or not. Thank you very much for your answer. Next up, Thisara, this question is for you. Being involved in a digital marketing and consultancy industry, I'm pretty sure that the technological aspect of using systemized tools are very crucial. So which technological tools and pillars have you utilized into offering your marketing and consultancy services? I mean, BOOST as a whole.
So mostly the existing digital platforms, I could say. Hold on. So let's say the tools and the mediums, yeah, I could say Facebook Business Manager made like a whole lot of sense to us, and even Google Advertising Manager, LinkedIn, and yeah, those are like 3 pillars that we do. We had like these like times that we had to like work on like Pinterest and stuff like that, but then like I personally believe that for the Sri Lankan market, Facebook can do massive changes. So in real estate, and just like I said that like it doesn't matter which industry that you are in, if the conversion is cost a lot, you can generate leads. If the end conversion is more, end conversion price is like small, you can make the sales. So the existing platforms that we have, like the Facebook, Google, or the LinkedIn, like we can proper like direct the advertisements to the end consumer. Apart from that, if you're talking about running a business, of course, starting from Microsoft Series makes a lot of sense. And things like we sometimes use Jira to get our workload organized, and we used to like work with on like Slack. Matthew, like it was like, for me, I was never a Slack fan, but then again, like it's about the person's like interest. Like I was never much involved with Slack, and I never liked it. But I realized that like there are like some instead what we actually did was like to we are mostly like based on the content plans, right? We are mostly like based on we are inbound marketing, like we are a performance marketing agency, meaning we most of the time work on inbound content creation. So for the content creation, I realized that the process is very similar. It can be the content idea building strategy, the strategy building stage, content creation, then the getting the approval process, and the advertising process. So except for the advertising process, every single thing can be automated. And that is one key thing that I very much like got attracted in this specific industry that I'm working on. So everything else can be automated. So I was talking to my partner, and we actually have been thinking of like back in the days we had a like different name, and we now have a small platform called Suit, the agent Suit that we created for our like benefit. what we do there is like we actually like got everything like settled there. All the process that my project managers have to go through, all the process that my designers have to go through, including myself, and all the process that my clients have to go through in order to like get the approval process done and right. It's a small platform. So this is where actually like this is actually why like I love like technology. It's more like content like the digital medium integration platform, but it made my life easier. It made like the people who work with me their lives easier, and yeah. So and this is the best part about like being a whole like tech entrepreneur. You can like if you know the technology, if you know right people, you can like do massive changes with like using that like using the your specific idea when it comes to like solving problems. My problem was like I was like we were spending like a lot of time. We were wasting a lot of time on like getting the like Excel sheets like that and right and sharing them with like clients. And I wanted to like them to leave me on time to like get approvals and all like get all those things sorted. But today I'm like very much glad because this whole scenario like I had the problem, I realized what it is, and my partner also realized what it is, and the people that work with me and people who are like working with me right now, they kept on like telling me this is the problem that we have. We are spending like a lot of time on like creating sheets and like we don't get them approved like on time, and the sheet get messier with emails and stuff. So why not go for something like this? So we came up with a small technological solution to resolve the problems that we have. So yeah, technology helps us a lot, and we use technology, of course. Yeah.
Thank you, Thisara. And yes, finding a solution from within is also defining you not just as a techno entrepreneur but an entrepreneur as a whole, because we define entrepreneurship as an innovation regardless of it being a product. It can be a change in the process, it can be an addition of a certain component into the process, and I'm pretty sure you have done it very well. Thank you, Thisara, for your valuable ideas. And my next question goes to Shehan sir. So the Fitski fitness app that you developed and introduced to the market is serving a huge functionality in the industry. So what parameters define the functionality of a tech innovation such as your app, sir?
Well, it's a bit of a technical question, Imesh. Basically, the parameters for me is number of partners we have, I mean, number of gyms and the trainers we onboard. That's one critical KPI we focus on. And then obviously number of downloads, how many people from download go to actual sale. I mean, what is that percentage of people who actually go and buy something? Because that's what matters to us, right? 100 people can download, but if 5 people buy, those are our real 5 people, and that balance 95 are our potential customers. So that's number 2. Number 3 is definitely revenue. Number 4 is profits, right? Those are, see, I mean, even though it's tech, what a lot of people understand is, or don't understand, is that even though it's tech, guys, it boils down to one simple thing. Can you make money out of this, right? If you're making money, then you can make money, you can make more money, and you can, solve bigger problems in this. But if you're going to burn money like crazy, right? I mean, you can have crazy number of downloads, but if you're not clear of your monetization, right, then you're losing out of this, right? Sometimes you don't need very strong technology, but a simple solution can make business sense. For example, I saw this, guy who has developed where you can, if you can track the location of your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, right, by sending a simple SMS, right? So it's done through a telco, right? And I heard that more than 1 million people are using this, right? I mean, a lot of people have this insecurity, where's my partner? Is he going anywhere or whatever, right? or not only partners, parents, kids, etc. Right? And this solution sends the location, talks to the tower, and gets to the location. And this guy is minting crazy amount of money. Now that's where he has brought in a very simple solution, very simple technology solution, but it makes business sense, right? So as a tech startup, you have to look at your key parameters, and that will differ, guys, right? I'm into a B2C product. So for me, that's why number of customers, number of business partners matter. But if you're into a B2B product, then your parameters may change drastically. So, I mean, depending on the industry you're in, for you to feel that the business is growing, what are the parameters you should focus on? It's very difficult to, put a generic set of parameters and tell you. But one simple parameter you should always check is revenue, profit, right? If you're growing these two, right, that means you're doing something right, and you can really take care of this business as well. That's one thing I always try to do. I always try to ensure that Fitski, even if it's 1 rupee for a month, I make a surplus, right, without making a loss. So that sort of keeps my head, clean as well. I can move forward because the business itself is making profits to pay the marketing, the cost, the developments, etc. So I think, yes, guys, there's nothing called a separate tech, what do you call it, tech entrepreneurship as such. I think it's a bad wording. You're just going to be an entrepreneur. Who is an entrepreneur? Who solves a problem, and in that process, you make money, right? You solve a problem, and in that process, you try to make money, right? I mean, various of if you drive down the street, you will see so many businessmen solving different problems, and everyone's trying to make their living out of this. So tech is no different. It's just that it's a nicer way, it's a more fancier way, it's a more sexier way to do things, right? I would say, right? But bottom line, you're solving a problem, and because of that, someone's paying you, and you're making money out of that, right? So key parameter is, are you making this company sustainable? Are you making money? The rest of the tech parameters, you figure it out depending on your startup, right? If it's an e-commerce, you'll have to feed number of orders. If it's something else, you'll have to number of rides for a ride-hailing company. So it differs. Your parameters will definitely differ. But one parameter which will always not differ is profits. Make money, you're happy, and your company will grow. Otherwise, it will sink. Now, the example of Benetton, right? I'm sure they spend everything, but if you don't focus on that sanity of making profits, then you lose your business, right? So that's important, guys, right?
Right. Thank you very much, Shehan sir. And that brings us to the end of our first session, where we have addressed the questions. And just to remind everyone, this Serial Talk Technopreneurship Forum was organized by the Department of Entrepreneurship at University of Jayawardenapura. And this entire session will be uploaded to our official Facebook page and YouTube page, Japur Entrepreneurs. You can watch us there. So, well, why wait rather than to go to our next session? So this session is open question session, where we would be giving the question, and Mr. Thisara and Mr. Shehan both are welcome to address these questions. The order, it's up to you to go ahead with that. So my first question would be, as a technopreneur in the market and being a recognized technopreneur when it comes to the products that you all have given out to the market, what challenges did you face in the process of emerging as a technopreneur?
Well, I don't mind giving an answer to that. See, the biggest challenge you face is, guys, giving up your ego, I would say. Because, see, I was in the corporate sector, so I was never an entrepreneur, right? I was working at Brandix, and I was heading supply chain at Brandix at a very young age. So, for me, I was doing a very senior role in a big corporate. I used to deal with the top customers, the Victoria's Secrets to the Nikes or whoever, big suppliers. I had different, exposure into the corporate world. And then here I come, right, starting Fitski, and I want to onboard gyms, and I had to go walking to every gym, right, asking them to come and on board with me. And the way a small gym owner would talk to me in Talavatogoda is very different to the way the sourcing manager at Nike in US would talk to me. And that was a crazy ego hit, man. I mean, it took me months and months to figure out, I mean, why the hell should I even go beg these people? But then again, I realized this is business, right? You have to let go of your ego, right? If you want to get business, if you want to get, if you want to drive your vision, you have to let go of your ego. So that's the biggest challenge you will face, right? It depends on where you are. Sometimes, at your, most of you guys are maybe probably undergrads. You might be thinking, okay, I'm studying at the best university in Sri Lanka. I'm the Japura, graduate. I'm a first class, right? The moment you have this first class, guys, your probability of becoming an entrepreneur goes down to very much like 1%, 2%, right? If you look at entrepreneurs, guys, are the ones who have not really excelled in studies, right? Because the biggest problem is that I always say this when I was from University of Moratuwa, so slightly better university, I would say, compared to Japura. So when I went to Moratuwa, and luckily I did my A levels and got through to it, one of my bosses in Brandix told me this thing. He said, "You have a big problem, Shehan. Someone has told you that you're very smart." I went to St. Joseph's in schooling, and I used to be the first 10. So my studies was okay. So I always had this ego, right? So considering that I'm good in my studies. I went to Moratuwa, and then in universities also people put you up, saying that okay, you're the cream of the country, and you're employable at a very crazy salaries. That's what running in your mind. So ego is at a different level. So this guy told me, Shan, someone has told that you're really smart. This is really messing your head up. And that gave me a huge reality check, right? And that taught me also the lesson that the more humble and the more stupid you are, the more stupid you think you are, you can make good businesses, right? But the more egoistic you are, the more you think you're very smart, you will mess it up, guys. So the most successful entrepreneurs are not the smartest people, right? I was reading an article recently. It's not the IQ, it's EQ, emotional intelligence, right? What matters the most. So the challenge is this switch, right? In your mind. I'm not that smart as I thought I am. For you to do that change, it's going to be a bit of a tough task. So that I would say the biggest challenge. And number two is money. How do you find that money? How do you change your lifestyle? For me, I was getting a very decent salary, and I had to give up that salary and come to zero, right? For that, I had to have a crazy passion for whatever I was trying to do, right? So I think if you can solve these two problems out, you're in for a good journey in entrepreneurship.
Right. And Thisara, I'm pretty sure your journey would
that actually like the
either.
ego thing. I don't think that, like, I didn't even like remember that, but man, like that's so true. I had the ego because I got into this, like I was recognized because of an award, and then again, like when I went through the like whole like when I had that like the liberty of like sort of being famous. I feel like I'm a TikTok star. Okay, back in the days, in a whole different category, I feel like I'm a TikTok star.
Yeah.
So seriously, dude, like ego messes you up big time. Ego messes you up, and I would love to add this small thing. When we reach into like when we start a small business, there are like two categories that you would like get into. First thing, the startup level, where you do anything at any cost, and the second category is like you get stable a bit, and like you call it a company, startup and a company, like where you like no longer use the term startup. So I personally think that people who do the people who do startups mostly think that like they have an excuse because they are startup. They mess up. They are like it's just like they get the satisfaction saying that like we are a startup, we are still in the learning process. And I think if you're a small business, if you are a startup, the people who run the startup should have the mentality of a corporate business. People who run a company, they can't stop thinking now we are not that in the startup level. We don't have like push like that. We don't have like work like our assets of to like get into the positions because like we are now a bit sorted. They have to have the startup energy. People who run startups should have the corporate mentality. The professionalism should be maintained properly. People who got their things sorted and get into the like corporate level should have the startup energy where you like push through your limits, where you would like if it is like let's say a fizzy drink company that you have, and if it takes to like put the label by your hand, you should have that like you should be humble enough to like get to the floor, and like you should be able to like do it by yourself. You just can't say that like no, I'm like we are now sorted, we have enough people, I am not going to like why don't we arrange this person to do that? Like you have the like that you should be in the ground all the time. So the ego honestly makes sense.
I think it's a great point. Just to add to that is that a lot of people, because it's a startup, you justify your loss. I mean, I'm again coming from a very financial point of view. Again, it's okay to make losses because I'm a startup, right? That's I think where a lot of people go wrong. So, like Thisara said, that's very important. You demarcate, why you're a startup. I have read startup is the smallest unit where decisions can be made faster. I think that's all.
Because
you're just a bunch of few people just start to do it. And you become the next. That's the only. You can't just justify losses because they're a startup. So that's a very good point.
Right. Thank you very much. And what we could do is all are humans at the end of the day. So it's the human thinking that matters for all of us. And we really hope that every business becomes successful with the combination of our unique ideas, unique strategies, and everything. And we wish you to all the best. And moving on to my last and final question. Technology and entrepreneurship are both market disruptive fields. Both of these fields have ensured that the world is a place that can be changed. With technology and entrepreneurship combines, technopreneurship, this can be seen as a phenomenon that causes market disruptions and therefore is identified as some sort of a contemporary issue in entrepreneurship. What views can you give regarding this statement, Mr. Shehan and Mr. Thisara?
See, I think when you told me this question, Imesh, yesterday also I had my answer, right? Don't complex entrepreneurship. It's such a, I mean, I don't know how you guys learn entrepreneurship in university. I would love to see that, right? I mean, this sort of a statement might come in your exams and then you write an answer to that. You can't do that. Honestly, I didn't understand the question number one, right, properly. But then, yeah, bottom line, guys, is that try to make a business out of it. Just keep it simple, right? I honestly can't answer that question directly, but I think as undergrads and everyone, the message I can give you and the little experience I've gained working with some top businessmen is that just keep it simple, right? Follow your passion, be ready to fail, right? I think I'm sure Thisara will agree. There would have been a million nights where we would have gone to sleep where thinking, is this something stupid, right? I'm sure Thisara would be, Thisara would be much few years younger than me, but then at both our age, Thisara must be wondering, okay, shouldn't I do a job? I would have thought, shouldn't I get back to my job, right? So so yeah, I mean that's something, guys, you have to make up your mind and then, okay, I'm ready to fail a million times and get up in the morning tomorrow as if nothing happened. Sometimes the pressure you get to make your payments, the suppliers calls, your employee, when you're employed, 25th is your favorite date. When you're a business, 25th is your almost awful date because you have to pay, right, people. That's when your cash pressure builds up, right? How am I gonna, manage this? And if you're strong enough to take that stress, then you can be a good entrepreneur. So if you guys are in the faculty of entrepreneurship, I bet we should put you guys into some shops and let them manage the people who come every day asking for money, right? It's a negotiation. I think business, it's a negotiation every day, right? You talk, whether you're negotiating with an investor, whether you're negotiating with a supplier who comes after your payments, it's a negotiation, right? To ask for business, etc. So those are skill set you have to develop, but you have to remember to be ready to fail. That's a very, very critical. It's easy to say, but and like Thisara very lightly said, our support system in this country and our culture is so messed up. Even my mother keeps asking, "What the hell are you doing with an app?" Right? She keeps looking for my horoscopes and also wondering, that saying that what will the horoscope guy say is that what's going on. So I mean, parents don't understand.
Little something that I want to add. My mother was like, I think she went to a horoscope dude, like, and she came home and she was like, whatever the thing that you do, does it involve with like the metal in the sense like,
So
and
I was about to tell you, I got the same answer.
I was like, why? And she was like, no, this dude like said that like you are like you get luckier with like all the metal. And my answer was, I was like, dude, like then I should have like hardware shop or something.
I don't know whether I don't know whether both our moms have gone to the same guy, right? Because my mom said, "Look, I'm doing something with regard to metal, and it will be successful." So I thought, at the gyms,
Help me.
the dumbbells. I thought maybe that's. I mean, maybe it's the same statement. So that's a problem, guys. This is what you will hear daily from your family, from your friends. Your friends might wonder, what the hell are you doing, right? They'll say, "Are you bloody mad to do this business? Get a job. There are plenty of jobs, etc." And the more qualified, the smarter you are, higher the pressure, right? I remember back in school, the guys who were not as much as qualified as you are, not as intellectually smart you are, sometimes they may not have any option, right? So then you fall back to any level to get out in life. But because we have so much of options, I'm sure Thisara, you can get a job at Unilever any given day, right? They would love to pay you $500,000 and make you a marketing manager, right? But then that the opportunity you have right in front of you also messes your mind up, saying that, okay, why shouldn't I go and take this option? So I think you've got to be a little mentally strong, right? It's very important. Those are the things you have to develop as a person if you are to enter this journey. And my final thought is, guys, not everyone can become an entrepreneur. I always believe this. Not everyone is destined to be an entrepreneur, because this world will be a messed up world if everyone's trying to be a businessman, right? I mean, you need corporates, right? You need people. We need people to work for us. I mean, if everyone we recruit are trying to be entrepreneurs, then we have a serious damn issue. Right? Everyone we recruit wants to start their own business, then who's going to work for us? So not everyone can become entrepreneurs, and that's not a bad thing. I think entrepreneurship is a very, very stressful journey, right? It's not this rosy thing you see on papers and this sort of talk shows we do. I mean, it's fun, but then yeah, we're back to square one with all the problems in our head. So I think you have to ask yourself, what sort of traits do you have? What's your purpose in life? Uh, and that should define, whether you become an entrepreneur or not. That it's not because you did a degree in entrepreneurship, that shouldn't be the reason why you start doing an entrepreneur, or start becoming an entrepreneur. And yeah, so those are the things I just wanted to touch, guys. Yeah.
So technically, I think the for the question that you can repeat the question. So I think like most of the people like carried out.
Yeah. So my question was, now technopreneurship has caused market disruption, or it has been identified as two informative fields which have caused market disruption. So in the field of entrepreneurship, there has been a unresolved problem. What we in our department, what we call it as a contemporary issue. So what is that contemporary? What is that unresolved problem when it comes to the field of technopreneurship?
Just like Shehan said that like when you like start thinking about something that has to be happen in the future, like you get like even like pressured with what could happen in the future. So like you get like you can't make decisions. I'll tell you the best example. So when in 2012, when Instagram was started being a thing, I had this question why people use Instagram, because there are like you have to take a picture, or maybe you can upload a picture just by clicking, like there are a couple of options, you can just upload the picture. So I was like, why do you go through this like whole hectic thing, and why does people want to like create like take images and like put it out? And I fell in love with Instagram in 2014 and so on. That was my mentality, and I think that was most of the people's mentality back in the days. Today, would you believe, people get dressed, women put on makeup, and they come up with the choreography. They get their like lightings and stuff ready, or maybe get a cameraman sorted, or like put a like camera in front of them. They dance, dude. They literally dance, and they create content. I think they spend around like hour or two. I have seen those like captions saying it took me forever to like get ready and like do this video. So these are the type of content that they create. So within this decade, the mentality of end consumer changed in a whole different level. People go through a whole process to create content, and people who like I don't think that the people who lived in 2012 would do like go through all these troubles. People change, market change. What market wants gets changed. You may think that like the problems that you think this market wouldn't be like ready for this. And most of the time market, like if this product was available in 2012, I don't think that market would like have it. This is the same thing that happened. But if you have a good product, you shouldn't give up on that. If you think that this idea is good, maybe like you should like get to it on the right time. This is what happened to Google Glasses. I am a bit excited that they are saying that like Apple is going to like release the whole glass thing, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, shouldn't we like try out? And I am ready for that. But back in 2012, I don't think I couldn't afford it. First thing, I couldn't afford it. Second thing, I don't think that like people, like most of the people who had money also, they questioned it whether I should really go for it. Market wasn't ready. If you think that you have a proper idea, if you think that also the market is ready, I think that like every single person who's here today, they should realize that they should go for it. Most of the people, I am pretty sure, I was one of these kids like that came to like those sessions to get motivated. This is not a like I hope you guys don't think this as a motivation session. This is not a motivation session. This is a discussion that you can take something out. I used to attend to motivation sessions. I used to read motivational books. I used to share motivational quotes. I used to listen to podcasts or those like audio clips or videos that gives me the motivation. But honestly, what really matters in this world, like what really matters to your routine is that what you would do once the motivation session is over. What these like 57 like 55, these 58 now, 56, let's say 58 people would do once this session is over. What would they do once they click sharing button? It's obviously about not like throughout the like the motivation session or the motivator when they were like reading the book, they get motivated. Of course, when they see the motivation quote, they get motivated. They want everybody else to like see that motivation. They share it. What would you do once you click that button? What would you do once you close the book? So I hope that like things are going to change in the world. Things are going to like massively change in the world. And one day, if you think that your product is amazing, if you think that like you have the potential, if you think that like you should try it out, you should like get on it. You should work your, I would say the word ass off to make sure that you are working for something that you believe in. And because if you don't, for the rest of your life, you will regret thinking that how things could have been changed if I tried that when I had the chance. Get motivated, be consistent when it comes to being motivated, and always believe in yourself keep down the ego. That's a massive point, Shehan. Keep your ego down. So those are the things that I think that I should add at the end.
And also download Fitski and work out every day.
Yes, definitely.
Cheers, guys.
And
Thanks. Yeah, man. Great
thank
point
you.
with Thisara as well. Amazing. Yeah.
I really love, dude. I just uploaded this status saying that like I really love this woman, this guy here. I really loved your talk and I really loved the like points that you brought.
That was amazing.
Those are like great.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Thank you, Thisara, and thank you, Mr. Shehan, both for giving us your valuable insights, your valuable ideas, sharing your life journey, the experiences you all had, the ups and downs with us. And I believe that all our participants and also every individual who would be seeing this session through our YouTube and Facebook pages would also get something out of this, because all these are from two great individuals. Thisara Jayasinghe, the founder of Boost Asia, and also Mr. Shehan, the founder of Fitski Fitness app. Thank you, guys. But 2 minutes for our dearest audience. If you all have any questions to ask from our valuable guests, you all are welcome. We have 1 minute. Seems like everyone is quite clear as to what we gave them.
Or they so badly want to like leave the conversation.
Yeah, one of the above. Anyways, if y'all have any questions, y'all are welcome to ask in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask in English or Sinhala. Right. If there's no questions, I would like to give my final thanks to Mr. Thisara Jayasinghe and Mr. Shehan Adikari for sharing your knowledge or giving us your valuable time for joining with us. Really sorry for the hassle conversations I take out of nowhere and asking to discuss this and that. Really small stuff, but then again, thank you for your time. And from the Department of Entrepreneurship, we wish you to all the very best in your journey as an entrepreneur as well as a technopreneur. Thank you for helping us making this forum a success. And thank you for all the participants for joining with us. We hope that we gave you some sort of an insight as to how the technopreneurship journey is going to be. Thank you, everyone. Please enjoy this video and have a good night. Thank you, Thisara. Thank you, Nisha.
Thank you.